Hi everybody, and welcome to Monday after a long Minnesota education weekend, and I hope everybody had a nice weekend. Excuse me, I'm getting my first it's fall cold. So today, the only assignments that are due this week, or the only assignment, write your 2 discussion posts and make comments on the writing process exercises. So, I wanted to this week talk a little bit about breath, eyes, memory. So that's what this is about, breath, eyes, memory, and why I picked this book and why it's a good juxtaposition with dry. So I'd use dry as a visual aid, but I don't have my hard copy, Nick. Anyway, this book contrasts dry so well because, at least in my analysis, what Dan DeCat is trying to do is not just tell a personal story, but tell a larger story about a social issue. And what Burroughs is doing is telling his story. And I'll talk about that in a minute, but for you, the thing that I want you to ask, excuse me, yourself as a writer is, why do you write? Are you writing to tell your story, which is a laudable, beautiful, perfect thing to do? Or are you writing to bring attention to or discuss some larger thing in life, whether it's death, God, love, the treatment of women, the militarization of the United States, the sexualization of children, an issue, or the plight of animals. There's an issue. And for me, dry and breath, eyes, memory exists on two ends of a continuum, because Burroughs could have written about alcoholism. He could have written about childhood sexual abuse. He could have written about a number of kind of huge social issues that he had firsthand experience in. But he didn't. He doesn't mention these things writ large. Actually, I have Running with Scissors right here because I'm reading it, and this is his first book. And he does the same thing here that he does in Dry. He just tells you his story. And, I'm like gripped by page 2. This little kid who can't go to school until his hair is perfect and is obsessed with lint. And I mean, it's an amazing book. So I hope everybody reads it. But it's just his story. And I think what Dan DeCat does in Breath, Eyes, Memory is tell the story of many people. I don't know how far you are into the book, and I'm not giving a lot away to say she talks about generally the treatment of women in Haiti. And Haiti, the short lecture on Haiti is that Haiti is known in activist and some intellectual circles as a rape culture, where rape is a pretty ordinary, everyday occurrence for women. I'm recording this before I post this, but I'm going to post a link to a couple of videos on Haiti so you can see what Dan DeCat is writing about. I mean, children, girls are really the victims of rape in Haiti and are raped as young as 9, 10 months old. It's been a problem in the country since the 1950s, and it is a completely ordinary, commonplace occurrence. And I can't even begin to tell you how horrific and unimaginable it is, so you'll have to watch the videos that I'm going to link. So, and as part of that unfortunate and contradictory dynamic, just as rape is a huge part of the culture, Martine, Sophie's mother, gets pregnant with Sophie because she's raped, so is female purity. So there's a huge emphasis on female purity, yet kids, 9 and 10-year-olds, are being raped when they go to the bathroom or go to get water. So it's this really impossible situation in which women live. And it's, I think, one of the major civil rights, human rights issues of our time that nobody is paying attention to, really. So Dan DeCat tries to bring this to light in this book. She's talking about kind of the how the ideal for femininity in her culture, and the lived reality and the differences between those and the real personal, emotional, physical damage that those ideals inflict upon people, real people. And it's such a good book. It's such a hard book, but it's just beautiful. It's beautiful at the sentence level. The language is a lot more lush than Burroughs. The sentences are really short and spare mostly if you look at them, but the word choice, it pops a little more. And maybe that's because Dan DeCat is writing in English as a second language. I'm not sure, but there's a difference. So to me, I have to say, Dry is an easier, more completely engrossing read. Just this guy's story. And then when I start reading this, I'm bogged down in despair about the larger issues. And so the reason that I picked these two books is because there's an issue at hand. In Burroughs is alcoholism and childhood sexual abuse. I think those are the primary issues. And for Dan DeCat, it's a treatment of women in Haiti. And they chose two different paths. This is fiction. This did not happen to Edwidge Dan DeCat. Burroughs wrote a memoir about his story. And so those two choices are a pathway into you as a writer. And so I ask, what do you want to tell? What story are you going to tell? Why do you write? So this might be deeply personal, that you create stories that kind of come to you and have a life of their own, and there seems to be no rhyme or reason. And that's fine. That's one way of writing. And I will say that in the second book that I wrote, that was what happened. I just told a story. But if I go back and look at it and critique it like a literary critic, there are themes, there are subtleties and things I wasn't quite conscious of that still came through issues in the story. So I think it sneaks in, why you want to write, what the underlying universal human theme that links the story and the reader together, what that is. But I think it's really amazing if you can be aware of that, if you can know what it is you want to write about. And so for me, Dan DeCat lets us ask, can you be an activist through creative writing? Can you further a cause? Can you do good in the world through literature, through writing? And I think the answer to that is an unequivocal yes. Dan DeCat remains one of the most visible and important voices for Haiti today, especially after the earthquake a couple of years ago. And she's not, in her last book, the last book that I read is about her uncle. It's a true story. He was emigrating from Haiti, but didn't have all of the correct papers. So he was detained and put into a cell, a holding cell. But they forgot about him, they locked his paperwork, and he was sick and he needed medicine that he didn't have, and he died. And so Dan DeCat told his story. So she's forged a career out of larger political, social issues and making those come to life through stories, through reading. And, I guess what I would say to you as a writer is whatever it is, the thing you want to say, to know it, to articulate why you write, to make it clear, and let that guide you, because that will shape the kind of work that you produce, whether or not you're aware of it. It will come out in the writing. And I think that's the beauty the differences between Burroughs and Dan DeCat. Two very different approaches, where Dan DeCat gives us an issue and Burroughs has an issue, but it's buried underneath the story. And you remember Augustine in Dry. You remember that guy and what he went through. But when you finish this book, you'll think about the women of Haiti. And not the main character. So just food for thought. Why do you write? And the different kinds of books that are the best vehicle for your message. So that's it for Monday. Look for a regular written news post on Wednesday.